We're recording. Hello, I'm Paul Vnuk from Recording Magazine. Welcome to our latest video review. Today, we're taking a look at the entire lineup of ART Tube MP offerings, which we also look at in our Family of ART Tube MP Units Compared Roundup in the July 2025 issue of Recording Magazine. Last year in 2024, Applied Research and Technology, or ART, celebrated its 40th anniversary of innovative and affordable recording devices, interfaces, processors, and more for the studio and stage. In our October 2024 issue, we celebrated 40 years of applied research and technology. And now, 2025 marks the 30th anniversary of the famed ART Tube MP. It might be hard to imagine now, but back in the early 90s, tube-based recording gear was just starting to become popular again after decades of taking a backseat to more modern, clean, solid-state technology. Of course, much of the tube resurgence came in the form of costly boutique offerings and expensive classic reissues. This made the highly affordable ART Tube MP a pretty big deal when it was released in 1995. It was nominated for a Tech Award in 1996, and it remains in the lineup unchanged to this day. The Tube MP is a DirectBox-style desktop device. The unit signal path starts with a transistor-based input stage, followed by a low-voltage 12AX7 tube stage implemented to exploit its nonlinear color, or what most of us would describe as tube warmth. It is housed in a 1.5-pound steel enclosure with side-by-side XLR and quarter-inch TS/I/O on the back. The quarter-inch TRS output is balanced, and a barrel connector allows for use with an included 9-volt power supply. Its topside controls consist of a variable input knob offering plus 6 dB to plus 40 dB, or plus 26 dB to plus 60 dB of gain, depending on the adjacent plus 20 dB boost button. There are also buttons for 48-volt phantom power and phase, followed by an infinity to plus 10 dB variable output knob. There's also a single signal clipping LED. In 2000, the Tube MP Studio added an output protection limiter button, which offered a fast attack, slow release limiter to help keep signals in check. It was also capable of classic pumping effects when pushed. It also added, in the words of reviewer Charlie Davis in our April 2001 issue, a cool, round, vintage-looking, honest-to-analog VU meter. He then summarized that the Tube MP Studio sounds the same, it's just easier to use. 10 years later, in 2005, ART introduced the Tube MP Studio version 3. The Studio V3 removed the OPL button in favor of a 16-step voice switch, which was first introduced on the now discontinued ART DPS2 2-channel tube preamp. Shortly thereafter, ART launched the Tube MP Project Series, which now boasts 3 models. The Tube MP Project Series preamp, the Tube MP Project Series USB mic pre with USB, and the Tube MP-C tube preamp and compressor. Each one is housed in a rounded, desktop-style, third rack-sized enclosure with controls and metering on the front and I/O and power on the back. While the Tube MP Project Series offers a more traditional gear design, it retains the classic Tube MP sound and functionality with some well-chosen additions. To help cover each of the models in this video review, we thought it would be fun to enlist the help of a few more of our reviewers, David Blascoe and Bill Stunt. Take it away, David.
Hi, I'm David Blascoe with Recording Magazine, and today I'm checking out the original Tube MP. I'm typically pretty skeptical of low-cost budget tube preamps. Often they don't add anything over the preamps already found in most interfaces, or they end up drenching your sound in a syrupy, unusable smear. However, the ART Tube MP, when used correctly, can add a distinct character that's surprisingly musical, useful, and fun. While not pretending to be a boutique preamp or a vintage clone, the Tube MP gets some solid tube tones, especially when you consider its price. As mentioned, the front panel is simple to use with gain, output, phantom power, phase, and a 20 decibel boost. Nothing gets in your way, and the Tube MP delivers exactly what it promises, namely tube warmth and saturation. Its 20 decibel gain boost and additional 10 decibel output level enable it to handle low-powered ribbon and dynamic microphones, while phantom power makes it suitable for use with condenser microphones as well. It also functions as a tube bass active direct box, great for use with guitars, bass, synths, and more. I started by running a purposely bright mono overhead mic through it to see if it would tame any of the harshness. It did precisely that, adding a subtle roundness to the top end and a bit of low-mid heft that glued the cymbals to the kit without sacrificing any definition. The noise floor was surprisingly good for a unit in this price range, especially when properly gain staged. On a dynamic mic on snare drum, it achieved a pillowy warmth that felt finished in the mix even before any EQ or compression. It's not clinical or clean, but that's kind of the point. Let's listen to the Tube MP on drum overheads, followed by some snare drum sounds. My favorite use of the Art Tube MP is with my Moog Sub-Fatty and the new Moog Messenger. I love being able to finesse various levels of warmth and even drive to taste. Here's some examples. What really sells the Tube MP, in my opinion, is its no-frills design. There's no menu diving or endlessly tweaky decisions to make. It's the kind of gear that invites you to just make music, and its simplicity and sound are its charms. The Tube MP also makes a great color box for things like snare, floor tom, or even a mono room mic. Or as a synth and bass DI, it adds just enough flavor to be a worthy tool in any studio. If you're looking to add some well-placed overt tube warmth, saturation, and depth to your sounds, the Art Tube MP is a worthwhile addition to any home studio or portable rig. And when you consider the price, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Hello, I'm Bill Stunt from Recording Magazine as well. I think Art hit a sweet spot when they introduced the first Tube MP 30 years ago. It offered home and project studio owners the opportunity to add a bit of tube topology into the recording workflow. And today I have the great pleasure of working with the Studio V3 version of the Tube MP. V3 stands for Variable Valve Voicing, which is a set of 16 selectable application-specific presets, 8 of which implement the previous version's OPL output limiter. The Tube MP Studio V3 is almost identical to the standard Tube MP. For differences, the input level is displayed on a large backlit moving coil VU meter. When the OPL is engaged, the original clip LED will flash red to indicate limiting. Moving to the variable valve voicing rotary control, its voices are organized in neutral, warm, and OPL categories, each with settings for common sources. The neutral group offers the original flat Tube MP sound along with options for vocals, guitar amp, DI bass, and more. The warm group offers increased tube presence with specific settings tailored for keyboards, electric guitar, vocals, and a generic warm setting. The OPL group is divided between warm and neutral presets with a limiter at the end of the circuit. Again, there is a multi-application warm setting with limiting, as well as presets for vocals, acoustic guitar, and piano. In the neutral OPL group, there are settings for DI bass, acoustic guitar, percussion, and a flat setting with a limiter engage similar to the first generation Tube MP Studio. I've encountered dozens of ART Tube MP units in my recording career. Many of my friends with recording studios have them, but I've never actually had one to use in my own studio. Generally, I found the unit to be quiet and clean in operation, and in the flat neutral setting, the tube presence is subtle but effective. The tube becomes more apparent in the warm presets, adding weight and a slightly rounded sound. Nicely, they aren't muddy or muffled, which can be a hazard with some low-voltage tube designs. In fact, on some of the warm settings, there's actually a nice high-end sheen. Overall, the presets are well designed and hit the mark in terms of their stated application. And it's worth noting that the presets are just suggestions. Nothing is stopping you from auditioning any of them on any given source, and as a matter of fact, I think you should. Both bass presets work great, and I would have no problem using the V3 as a bass DI. The acoustic guitar presets worked well and offer subtly different options that would work nicely in the right context. When I plugged one of my solid body electric guitars directly into the V3, I liked that it didn't sound overly DI'd. It was warm and solid with a nice touch of reverb. It would fit nicely into a mix. The acoustic settings found under the OPL option yield usable results on both mic'd and direct acoustic guitars. The OPL limiter does a decent job of controlling peaks without being obnoxious about it. Let's hear some examples. Affordability aside, the ART Tube MP Studio V3 offers solid, multi-voiced, tube-saturated audio performance, value-added features like that large VU and the OPL limiter, and it makes a great DI.
For my portion of this video review, I'm going to be taking a look at the Tube MP Project Series, starting with the self-named Tube MP Project Series and Tube MP Project Series with USB units. While the Tube MP Project Series offers a more traditional gear design, it retains the classic Tube MP sound and functionality with some well-chosen additions. I was only sent the Tube MP Project Series with USB unit as it's 100% the same as the Tube MP Project Series, just with the addition of USB connectivity. Each Project Series unit comes in a 1/3 size, rounded enclosure that can be racked, stacked, or set conveniently on a desktop. The I/O configuration on the rear remains similar to previous Tube MP models, while the front panel controls are updated and expanded. The input is now 0 to 45 dB, while the output ranges from infinity to +5 dB. The +20 dB boost, phantom power, and phase options remain, but they're joined by a high-low impedance switch, a 40 Hz high-pass filter, and a fast FET limiter. Gain monitoring and clipping are monitored by a 4-stage LED meter. The Tube MP Project Series with USB offers a USB 2 output jack that allows it to function as a straightforward, single-channel USB input device. Note that this is not a traditional audio interface, as it does lack output and monitoring capabilities. Like Bill Stunt, I've only ever encountered other people's tube MP units out in the wild. I've never actually had one here in my studio to try out myself. As such, I was very happy to compare each ART Tube MP offering side by side. I can attest that each unit is indeed sonically similar. In fact, I even used two mismatched units for some stereo recording with zero issues. Similar to David and Bill's assessments, the general tube signature of the Tube MP units is best described as warm, rich, and obvious when pushed. Focusing on the Tube MP project series with USB, it handled every microphone that I threw at it, from modern condenser mics to passive ribbons and dynamic mics. It should be noted that the Tube MP preamps offered 60 plus dB of gain long before the passive ribbon mic resurgence became a trend. That said, the Tube MP project series can be a bit heavy-handed in terms of thickness and rounding when used with some ribbon mics, so your mileage may vary. I found all of the Tube MP units to be much cleaner and quieter than expected. However, a mic like the notoriously low-powered Shure SM7B can bring the Tube MP project series to the edge of its noise floor on soft-spoken dialogue. The Tube MP project series can be a great front end for DI bass, and I really liked it on my vintage Rhodes electric piano. It produced a nice, smooth weight, and when set to the verge of breakup, added a nice classic drive. Similarly, it can be a great cure for digital hardware synths. While I appreciate the inclusion of USB, it's probably not something I would reach for often, although it could be handy to add an extra tracking input in a pinch. Rounding out the family is the Tube MPC, a mic pre, DI, and opto compressor limiter all in one. Housed in the same enclosure as the other Project Series offerings, you could say that the Tube MPC is the most full-featured member of the family, although it does lack the multiple voice architecture of the Tube MP V3. The 0 to plus 40 dB input and infinity to plus dB output are stepped. With the added plus 20 dB button, it's capable of an impressive plus 80 dB of gain. The MPC retains the low-cut option of the other Project Series models, as well as phase and phantom power, which in the case of the latter is on the rear of the unit. Moving back to the front, you'll find a 1/4-inch TS instrument input. Now we come to the unit's opto compressor, which starts with a stepped minus 40 dB to plus 20 dB threshold knob. It has a fairly slow attack with a selectable fast or auto release. A slope button switches between 3:1 compression or a program-dependent limiting ratio. There's also a compressor bypass button. While it lacks the needle-based VU meter found on the V3 unit, the Tube MPC actually offers the most detailed metering in the whole family, featuring a trio of 4-stage LED meters. The first one displays the input drive of the tube circuit. The second indicates gain reduction, and the third monitors the final output level. In addition to the phantom power button, the back of the unit is home to a 12-volt DC barrel connector, balanced XLR I/O, and a 1/4-inch TS unbalanced output. The output can be switched from line level to high impedance instrument level, which allows the unit and its compressor to be used as the front end of a guitar or bass on a pedal board or an amp. Finally, this is the only model in the entire Tube MP lineup to contain a dedicated power button. The compressor could not be easier to dial in, and it is quite effective, especially on direct bass and vocals. Beyond singing, The Tube MPC is perfect for spoken word, offering a very polished, radio announcer-like tonality and control. In fact, I've been using it for all of my dialogue in this entire video. Cutting to the chase, the Tube MPC is probably my favorite unit of the bunch, and I find the preamp and compressor perfectly integrated and easy to use. Beyond its sound, it's incredible how well a simple, 4-step tube drive meter can help you dial in perfectly nuanced, clean, saturated, or driven tube tones. Now, let's take a listen to the ART Tube MP in action. David used the original ART Tube MP to record some drums and analog synths. Then Bill used the Studio V3 to record some bass, acoustic, and electric guitar. And then I went back to the original Tube MP to record some Rhodes, percussion, and vocals. Let's check it out. From the last days of September to the first days of spring, sunshine and moonlight are different when it rains, yeah. Last night I was dreaming of smiling again. Sunshine and moonlight are the same when you sing. I wanna go, but I wanna stay. I wanna go, take me home. La da da da, la da I wanna go, but I wanna stay. I wanna go, take me home. Yeah, I wanna go, but I wanna stay. I wanna go, take me home. From all of us here at Recording Magazine, we want to wish a very happy birthday to the original ART Tube MP. In an era of mass-produced entry-level gear, it's rare to celebrate a unique lineup of creative, affordable, and genuinely useful studio workhorses that have stood the test of time. Yet, 30 years on, the ART Tube MP deserves every bit of its accolades and cult status. If you'd like to learn about any member of the ART Tube MP family, stop by artproaudio.com for more. Also, be sure to check out the family of ART Tube MP units compared in the July 2025 issue of Recording Magazine. If you liked this video, be sure to give us the old thumbs up below. Better yet, hit that bell and subscribe to Recording's YouTube channel for more video reviews, product comparisons, how-to videos, and more. Then, head on over to recordingmag.com for the best in all things recording, where you can subscribe to our print publication, which is now in its 38th year. We'll see you soon.